The stars had never looked more beautiful to Commander Jake Morrison as he stood on the bridge of his ship. 43 years had passed since humanity joined the Galactic Council, and those years had been good ones. Earth and her colonies spread across 12 systems now, each one thriving under the protection and trade agreements of the Council. Jake had spent 15 of those years serving in the joint fleet operations, working alongside alien species he once thought existed only in dreams. Dr. Amy Collins sat in the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, surrounded by representatives from 7 elder species: the Vracs with their crystalline bodies, the towering Kelthani, the swift Dorvians, and others who had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. Amy was the chief human representative, and she felt proud every time she spoke for her people. Today was special. Today, she would present humanity's greatest achievement. Honored council members, Amy began, her voice steady and confident. Humanity wishes to share our latest breakthrough with our galactic family. We have developed quantum fold engines that will revolutionize space travel. The council chamber filled with interested murmurs. The Vrax representative leaned forward, its voice like chimes. This is remarkable, Dr. Collins. Such technology could benefit all species. We would like to review your research data for security purposes, of course. Amy smiled and nodded. Of course. We will transmit all data within the week. Humanity believes in cooperation and sharing our achievements with our allies. Far across the galaxy, Lieutenant Kate Sullivan sat at her intelligence station aboard the orbital platform above Mars. Her job was to monitor communications and watch for threats to human colonies. She was good at her job, perhaps too good. For the past 3 weeks, she had noticed something strange. Encrypted messages passed between council members. Messages that bypassed normal channels. Messages that humans were not meant to see. Kate pulled up another data stream and frowned. Military requisitions were being processed without human approval or knowledge. Ship movements that made no strategic sense. It was like watching pieces of a puzzle scatter across her screen. But she could not see the full picture yet. Captain Ben Harris commanded Earth's flagship defense vessel, the Liberty. He had fought pirates in the Outer Rim, protected colony ships, and earned the respect of alien commanders. Today, he received new orders that puzzled him. His ship and 3 others were to patrol Sector 7, far from any human territory. When he questioned the orders, his Vrax superior simply said it was routine council business. Something feels wrong, Ben told his first officer as they prepared to depart. We have never been sent this far from home before. His first officer nodded. Orders are orders, sir. But I agree. The timing is strange. Back on the council homeworld, Amy Collins attended another meeting. This one was scheduled suddenly, and she arrived to find the chamber half empty. No human representatives were invited except her, and even she had only learned of it by accident. Dr. Collins, the Kelthani speaker said when she entered. This meeting is closed session. Please return to your quarters. 1. Closed session? Amy felt a cold sensation in her stomach. The council charter requires all members to be informed of closed sessions 48 hours in advance. This violates protocol. New protocols, the Dorvian representative said smoothly. Adopted just yesterday. For security purposes. Amy left the chamber, but her mind raced. Security purposes. That phrase kept appearing. First, they wanted her research data for security purposes. Now, closed meetings for security purposes. What security threat could possibly require excluding humanity from council discussions? Kate Sullivan worked through the night, her eyes red from staring at screens. She had called in favors, used every back channel she knew, and finally cracked one of the encrypted communications. What she read made her blood run cold. She immediately sent a priority message to Admiral Frank Chen on Earth. Admiral Chen read Kate's report 3 times. Each time, he hoped he had misunderstood. But the evidence was clear. The Council had been systematically moving human military forces away from Earth and the major colonies. Every human fleet commander had received orders, sending them to distant sectors. Earth's defense grid was vulnerable, and someone had planned it that way. "Get me, Commander Morrison," Chen ordered. "And lock down this information. Tell no one until we know the full scope." Jake Morrison received the encrypted call from Admiral Chen while his fleet was already 2 days into their journey to Sector 7. The Admiral's face on the screen looked older, more tired. "Jake, I need you to be calm and listen carefully," Chen said. "We believe the Council is planning something against humanity. I cannot give you specifics over this channel, but you need to prepare your fleet for possible hostile action." Jake felt the world shift beneath his feet. "Hostile action? From the Council?" "Sir, that makes no sense. We are allies." "That is what I thought too," Chen replied. "But Lieutenant Sullivan has uncovered communications that suggest otherwise. Keep your fleet on alert. Trust only human personnel. And be ready to move fast." Amy Collins could not sleep. She had spent the evening reviewing Council records, trade agreements, and military deployments. Every document she read added another piece to a terrible picture. The Council had been positioning themselves for months, maybe years. Human technology was being copied and studied. Human colonies were being surveyed. Human forces were being dispersed. She thought about the quantum fold engine data she had promised to share. Technology that would make humanity independent of Council, jump gates. Technology that would let human ships go anywhere in the galaxy without Council permission. Had she just handed their greatest advantage to their enemies? In her quarters, she composed a message to Admiral Chen, encoding it with old Earth encryption the Council had never seen. Then she began to plan an escape. If war was coming, humanity needed its representatives back home. On Mars Station, Kate Sullivan discovered the final piece. A document called the Preservation Protocol. She read it with shaking hands. The protocol outlined the complete subjugation of humanity. Economic sanctions would come first, then military action, then seizure of all human colonies and technology. Earth would become a protectorate, its people scattered and controlled. The protocol was scheduled to activate in 2 weeks. Kate immediately transmitted everything to Admiral Chen, then began wiping her systems. If the Council knew she had found this, they would move faster. She had to disappear, had to warn everyone she could. Across human space, military commanders began receiving Chen's coded warnings. Captain Ben Harris turned his ship around, ignoring the angry communications from his Council superior. Other captains did the same. They did not know exactly what was coming, but they knew betrayal when they saw it. Jake Morrison gathered his senior officers. "I need volunteers," he said quietly. "We are about to disobey direct Council orders and possibly start a war. Anyone who wants to transfer to another ship, do it now. No judgment." No one moved. "Good," Jake said. "Then let us go home and protect our people." The golden age of alliance was over. Humanity stood alone, surrounded by former friends who had become enemies. But they were not defenseless. They had been preparing for this moment since the day they reached the stars. Humans had learned from their own bloody history never to trust completely, never to leave themselves vulnerable. The Council thought they knew humanity. They thought humans were junior partners, grateful children who would accept any fate the elders decided. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The Council homeworld looked peaceful in the morning light, but Dr. Amy Collins knew better. She had spent all night working with Agent Nick Porter, a human operative who had been embedded in the Council security forces for 3 years. Nick had confirmed her worst fears. The preservation protocol was real, and it was about to be activated. "They are moving up the timeline," Nick whispered, as they met in a maintenance corridor beneath the Council chambers. "Something spooked them. Maybe they know we found out." Amy nodded grimly. "How long do we have?" "Days. Maybe hours." Nick handed her a data chip. "This contains everything I could gather. Ship positions, command codes, the entire conspiracy." You need to get this back to Earth. What about you? I will buy you time. Nick smiled sadly. Someone has to stay behind and cause confusion. Go now, before they lock down all human movements. Amy wanted to argue, but she knew he was right. She took the chip and ran. Across the galaxy, Commander Jake Morrison's fleet pushed their engines to the limit. They had abandoned their patrol route and were racing back toward human space. Every hour brought angry transmissions from Council Command, ordering them to return to their assigned sector. Jake ignored them all. Sir, we are receiving a priority message from Earth, his communications officer called out. Admiral Chen reports that Council fleets are moving toward our colonies. The protocol has been activated. Jake felt rage and fear mixing in his chest. How long until we reach Mars? 18 hours at current speed. Push it to 15. I do not care if we burn out every engine on every ship. Jake turned to his tactical officer. And start running battle simulations. We are going to be outnumbered at least 3-1. On Mars, Captain Ben Harris watched the Council fleet approach on his scanners. 6 heavy cruisers and 20 support ships, all converging on the red planet. His own force consisted of the Liberty and 2 smaller defense frigates. The math was simple and brutal. All civilian ships are to evacuate immediately, Ben ordered. Get them to the jump gates and send them toward Earth. Military personnel will stay and buy them time. Sir, we cannot hold against that many ships, his first officer said. I know, Ben replied, but we can make them pay for every minute. Engineer Lisa Martinez worked frantically in the depths of the Liberty. She had discovered something terrible in the ship's systems. The Council had provided many upgrades to human vessels over the years, supposedly to help integrate human technology with galactic standards. But Lisa had found hidden subroutines in that technology. Backdoors that would let the Council shut down human ships remotely. Captain Harris, you need to see this, Lisa called over the comm. The Council can disable us whenever they want. All our weapons, engines, everything. Ben felt sick. Can you remove the subroutines? Already working on it, but it will take time. You have got 1 hour, Ben said. After that, those Council ships will be in firing range. Back on Earth, Admiral Frank Chen stood in the Emergency Command Center deep beneath Geneva. Around him, holographic displays showed the positions of all human and Council forces across known space. The picture looked grim. Human fleets were scattered, colonies were exposed, and the Council had positioned their forces perfectly, but Chen was not panicking. He reached for a secure console and entered a code that had not been used in 40 years. Activate Protocol Omega, he said quietly. Across human space, hidden facilities came to life. Asteroid bases that appeared on no official records began launching ships. Shipyards concealed in nebulas and dead systems activated their assembly lines. Weapons platforms disguised as mining stations powered up their guns. Humanity had been preparing for betrayal since the first day they met alien life. Old Earth habits died hard. Dr. Amy Collins moved through the Council homeworld spaceport, trying to look casual. She had forged credentials that identified her as a Dorvian merchant. And so far, the disguise held. She just needed to reach the human merchant ship docked in Bay 17. Dr. Collins, a voice called behind her. Amy's heart nearly stopped. She turned slowly to see a Vrax security officer approaching. She prepared to run, but then the Vrax spoke in a whisper. Nick Porter sent me. I am on your side. This way, quickly. The Vrax led Amy through a service entrance and down to a small cargo ship. This vessel will take you to neutral space. From there, you can reach human territory. Go now. Why are you helping us? Amy asked. The Vrax's crystalline face showed something that might have been sadness. Because what the Council is doing is wrong. Not all of us agree with the protocol, but we are too few to stop it. The Vrax handed her a weapon. Defend yourself if needed, and tell your people that some of us still believe in honor. Amy took the weapon and boarded the ship. As it lifted off, she saw Council security rushing into the spaceport. Nick had kept his promise and caused enough confusion to let her escape. On Mars, the Council fleet entered firing range. Captain Ben Harris stood on the bridge of the Liberty, watching the enemy ships spread into attack formation. His tactical display showed red icons outnumbering his blue ones by a massive margin. All ships, this is Captain Harris. We fight not for victory today, but for time. Every minute we hold them here is another minute for our civilians to escape. Every shot we land is a message that humanity will not go quietly. Make them pay for their betrayal. The Council fleet fired first. Energy beams cut through space, slamming into the Liberty's shields. Ben ordered return fire, and the Liberty's railguns spoke with thunder. Heavy metal slugs, accelerated to incredible speeds, punched through Council shields designed to stop energy weapons. The Council had forgotten that humans loved kinetic weapons. 2 Council support ships exploded as railgun rounds tore through their hulls. The enemy fleet hesitated, surprised by the ferocity of the defense. "Keep firing," Ben shouted. "Use the planet's rings for cover." The human ships dove into Mars's debris rings, using rocks and ice as shields. The Council ships followed, but they were designed for open space combat. The cluttered environment worked against them. Human ships were smaller, more agile. They darted between asteroids, firing and running, making the Council pay for every meter. But there were too many enemies. The first human frigate took critical damage and began to drift. Then the second frigate's engines failed, hit by a lucky shot. "Liberty is alone, sir," the tactical officer reported. "Then we make our stand alone," Ben replied. Jake Morrison's fleet burst into human space 12 hours later. They had pushed their engines beyond safe limits, and 2 ships would need complete overhauls. But they had made it. Jake immediately scanned for Council forces. "Multiple engagements detected," his sensor officer called out. "Mars, Titan, Europa Station. Council fleets at all locations. Where are our forces?" "Scattered. Most ships are responding to Admiral Chen's recall, but they are hours away from the fighting." Jake made his decision. "Set course for Mars. Maximum speed. And broadcast this message on all channels. Human and Council alike. Humanity has discovered the betrayal. We know about the preservation protocol, and we are coming for everyone who thought they could enslave us." The message spread through space at light speed. On Council ships, alien commanders looked at each other in confusion and worry. On human ships, crews cheered. The secret was out. The Council could no longer pretend this was a legitimate police action. At Mars, Captain Ben Harris heard Jake's broadcast and smiled despite the Liberty taking heavy damage all around him. "You hear that? Crew? Help is coming. We just need to hold a little longer." The Liberty fired its last railgun rounds, then switched to missiles. Council ships closed in for the kill, but they moved cautiously now. They had learned to respect human weapons. Then something unexpected happened. One of the Council ships stopped firing. Then another. Confusion spread through the enemy fleet. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from one of the Morphex ships," the communications officer reported. "They are asking if the broadcast is true. They want to know about this protocol." Ben realized what was happening. Not all Council members knew about the conspiracy. Some species had been kept in the dark, just like humanity. The betrayal was not universal. "Tell them it is all true," Ben said. "Tell them to stand down, and we will share all the evidence. Tell them humanity does not want war with innocent species." The Council fleet began to fracture. Some ships continued attacking, but others held back, demanding answers from their commanders. The unified assault became a confused mess. Admiral Chen watched from Earth as reports came in. Mars held. Europa Station held. Titan held. Human forces were taking losses, but they were not breaking. And now, Council unity was cracking. Chen opened a channel to all human forces. "This is Admiral Chen. Protocol Omega is fully active. Our hidden fleets are launching. Our secret weapons are online. And Commander Morrison's fleet is about to arrive at Mars." The Council thought we were weak and divided. They forgot that humans never fight fair. And we never give up. Show them what humanity really means. Dr. Amy Collins's ship jumped into human space near Earth. She immediately transmitted Nick Porter's data to military command. Everything was there. Every lie, every plan, every crime the Council had committed. As she watched Earth grow larger on the view screen, Amy felt a strange calm. The betrayal was complete. The war had begun. But humanity was ready. They had always been ready. The Golden Age was over. Now came the Age of Reckoning. Commander Jake Morrison's fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Mars system. What he saw made his blood boil. The Liberty was barely holding together, surrounded by Council ships. Even from this distance, he could see the damage to Captain Ben Harris's flagship. Hull breaches, dead engines, fires visible through broken sections. All ships, combat formation Delta. Target the heaviest Council cruisers first. And someone get me Captain Harris on the comm. Ben Harris's face appeared on the screen, bruised and bleeding from a console explosion. "Jake, good to see you. We kept them busy. You did more than that, old friend. You held the line. Now let us finish this fight." Jake's fleet crashed into the Council forces like a hammer. The enemy had been fighting for hours, and their shields were weak. Human ships, fresh and ready, tore through the Council formation. Jake had learned something during his years of service. He had learned how Council ships fought, how they thought, what tactics they preferred. Now, he used that knowledge against them. "Deploy the surprise," Jake ordered. From each human ship, small drones launched. The Council had seen these before, simple reconnaissance units. But these drones were different. They had been modified with advanced AI, technology the Council had banned as too dangerous. The drones moved with inhuman speed and precision, targeting Council ships' weak points, disrupting their formations, creating chaos. The Council fleet began to break. Some ships tried to retreat. Others tried to regroup. But Jake's forces pressed hard, giving them no time to think or plan. Within an hour, the Council fleet was scattered. Some ships jumped away to safety. Others surrendered. A few fought to the last, but they died quickly. "Mars is secure," Jake announced. "All ships, begin rescue operations. Save everyone, even the Council personnel. We are not murderers." On Earth, Admiral Frank Chen watched more hidden bases come online. The asteroid belt station, Omega-7, reported ready with 20 warships. The Neptune moon base Poseidon launched 15 more. Ships that had been hidden in plain sight as civilian transports suddenly revealed their weapons and military-grade engines. "How many ships do we have in total?" Chen asked his staff. "Counting all hidden forces, plus returning regular fleet units, approximately 300 combat-capable vessels, sir." Chen nodded. It was not enough to conquer the Council, but it was enough to make them think twice. "Send orders to all commanders. We are going on the offensive. Hit Council supply lines. Disrupt their communications. Make them afraid to leave their home systems." Across human space, people watched the news in fear and anger. The Council's betrayal had been broadcast everywhere. Dr. Amy Collins appeared on every screen, showing the evidence Nick Porter had gathered: the preservation protocol, the conspiracy, the plans to enslave humanity. Public opinion turned into rage, but Admiral Chen was careful. "We fight the Council leadership, not innocent civilians," he told his commanders. "No attacks on planets. No civilian casualties if we can avoid them. We must be better than them." Pilot Greg Mason led a squadron of fighters toward a Council supply convoy near Jupiter. His 12 small ships against a convoy of 20 freighters and their 8 escort vessels. Bad odds by any measure, But Greg had learned something important. Council ships were slow. Human fighters were fast. Split formation, hit and run tactics. Do not stay still for more than 3 seconds. The fighters dove into the convoy like angry wasps. They fired missiles, then broke away. Before the escorts could lock on, they used asteroids for cover, appearing and disappearing faster than Council targeting systems could track. Within minutes, half the freighters were disabled, and 2 escort ships were drifting wrecks. The convoy commander tried to call for help, but Specialist Ryan Cooper had already taken care of that. Ryan and his team of hackers had been working non-stop since the war began. They wormed into Council communication networks, spreading false information, routing orders to the wrong ships, creating confusion everywhere. Their encryption is good, but it is rigid, Ryan explained to his team. They follow rules. We do not. We adapt, improvise, break things they think cannot be broken. Council commanders across the galaxy found their orders scrambled. Ships were told to go to empty systems. Supply runs were rerouted to the wrong destinations. Even worse, Ryan's team began broadcasting the evidence of Council crimes on their own networks. Council citizens started asking uncomfortable questions. Scientist Helen Wade worked in a secret laboratory beneath the surface of Earth's moon. Before the war, she had studied Council technology, trying to understand how it worked. Now she was weaponizing that knowledge. Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons, Helen explained to her research team. They assume everyone fights the same way they do. But humans love kinetic weapons, explosives, things that work on simple physics. So let us give them simple physics. Helen's team developed new ammunition for human railguns, rounds that split into dozens of smaller projectiles just before impact. Rounds that released electromagnetic pulses to disable electronics. Rounds that were just very, very heavy and very, very fast. The Council shields could not stop them all. Captain Ben Harris recovered from his injuries aboard the Liberty, while repair crews worked to fix his ship. Jake Morrison visited him in the medical bay. The Council made a mistake, Jake said quietly. They thought because we were younger, we were weaker. They forgot that young species are hungry. We want to prove ourselves. We want to survive. That makes us dangerous. Ben nodded. What is our next move? We take the fight to them. Admiral Chen wants us to visit the Vrak's homeworld. Not to attack it, but to deliver a message. 3 days later, Jake's fleet appeared in orbit above the Vrak's home planet. The Vrak's defense fleet scrambled, expecting battle. But Jake's ships did not fire. Instead, they broadcast a message. People of Vrax, this is Commander Jake Morrison of Earth. Your leaders betrayed us. They tried to enslave humanity. But we do not blame you. We know many of you had no knowledge of this crime. We come today not to fight, but to show you that we could have. Your orbital defenses are within our range. Your cities are vulnerable. But we will not fire. Humanity fights for justice, not revenge. We ask you to demand answers from your leaders. Ask them about the preservation protocol. Ask them why they feared human progress so much that they plotted our destruction. Jake's fleet jumped away before the Vraks could respond. But the message had been received. Across the Vrak's homeworld, citizens gathered in the streets, demanding to know the truth. Their leaders had no good answers. The same thing happened at the Kelthani homeworld and the Dorvian colonies. Human fleets appeared, demonstrated they could attack, but chose not to. Each time, they asked the local population to question their leaders. Each time, they left without firing a shot. Admiral Chen watched reports of civil unrest spreading through Council space. Psychological warfare, he told his staff. We cannot defeat 7 species in open battle, but we can make them fight each other. Commander Ashley Rivers led special operations teams behind enemy lines. Her job was to rescue human prisoners from Council camps and gather intelligence. At a labor camp on a Kelthani moon, She found 300 human civilians who had been arrested when the war started. Everyone stays calm, Ashley told the prisoners, as her team disabled the guards. We are getting you out of here. But first, we need you to document everything. Every crime, every abuse. The galaxy needs to see what the Council really is. The prisoners recorded their testimonies, and Ashley's team broadcast them across the galaxy. More evidence of Council crimes. More cracks in their unity. Dr. Paul Green did something unusual for a war. He went to Council worlds affected by the fighting and provided medical aid. When a human attack on a military base accidentally damaged a nearby town, Paul's medical teams were the first to arrive and help. Why are you helping us? A wounded Morphex civilian asked. We are your enemies. You are not my enemy, Paul replied as he treated the Morphex's injuries. Your leaders are. You are just someone who got hurt in a war you did not start. That makes you my patient. News of Paul's actions spread. Council propaganda said humans were barbaric warmongers. But people saw human doctors saving Council civilians. They saw human ships that could have destroyed cities but chose not to. They saw evidence that humanity fought with honor. Jake Morrison gathered his senior officers for a strategy meeting. The Council expected us to be terrified and scattered. Instead, we are organized and hitting back. They expected us to commit atrocities. Instead, we are showing mercy. They expected us to beg for peace. Instead, we are demanding justice. What is the endgame? One officer asked. We are going to the Council's central chamber station, Jake said. We are going to end this war. Not with their surrender, but with a new order. Back on Earth, Dr. Amy Collins prepared for the most important speech of her life. She would address the galaxy, explaining humanity's terms, not terms of surrender from the Council, but terms for building something better. They wanted to deliver an order for our enslavement. Amy practiced in front of a mirror. Now we will deliver an order for justice, an order for equality, an order for truth. The pieces were in place. Human forces had proven they could fight. They had proven they could win. Now came the hardest part. They had to prove they could build peace. The Council's central chamber station orbited a neutral star, far from any homeworld. It was meant to be a symbol of unity and cooperation. Now it would become the place where the old order died. Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his flagship as the human fleet approached the station. Behind him came 60 warships, the strongest force humanity could gather. Around the station, Council defense fleets waited. Over 200 ships, from 7 different species, all armed and ready. They outnumber us 3-1. Jake's tactical officer observed. They always did, Jake replied. Open a channel to all Council ships. Let everyone hear this. Jake's face appeared on screens across the station and every ship nearby. I am Commander Jake Morrison of Earth. We come to deliver an order. Not with violence, but with truth. Not with conquest, but with justice. Every Council species will receive a personal message detailing your crimes. Then, we will present our terms. On the Vrax's flagship, Admiral Kent received a data transmission. He opened it and felt his crystalline body grow cold. Inside were recordings of Vrax leaders planning the protocol. Their words, their voices, undeniable proof of conspiracy. Along with the recordings came casualty reports. 3,000 Vrax citizens had died because of the war their leaders started. Their names, their faces, their families. The Kelthani received similar messages. So did the Dorvians, the Zenthari, the Morphex, the Quillians, and the Tarkin. Each message was personal, specific, devastating. Humanity had done its homework. You tried to enslave us because you feared our progress, Jake's voice continued. You saw that human technology might make us independent, might make us equals. That thought terrified you, so you planned our destruction. But you forgot something important. Humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We know war. We know betrayal. We learned from our own bloody history. And we prepared. On the station, the 7 council leaders gathered in emergency session. The Vrax speaker tried to maintain order, but chaos had taken over. Representatives from dozens of species were demanding answers. Some had supported the protocol, others had known nothing about it. Now, everyone was angry. The humans must be stopped, the Tarkin ambassador shouted. They have proven themselves dangerous. This validates our concerns. No. A Morphex delegate stood up. This proves we were wrong. We attacked first. We conspired against them. And they responded with more honor than we showed. Look at the evidence. Human forces could have destroyed our cities, but they did not. They could have slaughtered our civilians, but they saved them. We are the monsters here, not them. The chamber erupted in arguments. Some species wanted to continue fighting. Others wanted to negotiate. The unity that had held the council together for millennia was shattering. Outside, Jake Morrison's fleet demonstrated their new technology. Ships equipped with quantum fold engines appeared and disappeared across the system, moving in ways council vessels could not match. Human ships no longer needed jump gates. They could go anywhere, instantly. The council's greatest advantage was gone. Now you see, Jake broadcast. We do not need you anymore. We could leave, build our own empire, let you fight among yourselves. But that is not what we want. Humanity wants justice. We want a real council, one built on equality and truth. And we are going to get it. End quote. Dr. Amy Collins appeared on screens next to Jake. She looked tired but determined. I served on the council for 12 years. I believed in what it represented. But it was a lie. The council was never about cooperation. It was about control. Elder species controlling younger ones. Strong species exploiting weak ones. That ends today. Amy held up a data chip. This contains a new charter. We call it the Galactic Constitution. It guarantees equal representation for all species. It forbids secret protocols and hidden conspiracies. It creates oversight committees with members from multiple species. It establishes courts to try war crimes. And it shares technology freely among all members. This is outrageous, the Kelthani speaker protested. You cannot dictate terms to us. You are one species among many. You are right, Jake said. We are one species. But we are the species you tried to destroy. That gives us some authority to suggest changes. You can accept our terms, or we can leave, and you can explain to your people why the war continues. Why more of them will die. Why the galaxy remains divided. Captain Ben Harris commanded a task force near the council station. His job was to watch for treachery. And he found it. 3 council ships broke formation and began charging weapons. All human ships, weapons hot. Target those 3 vessels, Ben ordered. Then he opened a channel to the attackers. This is Captain Ben Harris. You are making a mistake. Stand down. The council ships did not listen. They fired on the nearest human vessel. Ben's response was instant and brutal. Railgun rounds tore through the attackers' shields. Missiles found their engines. Within seconds, all 3 ships were drifting hulks. Anyone else want to try? Ben broadcast to the entire council fleet. No one moved. Admiral Frank Chen watched from Earth as events unfolded. He had prepared for this moment carefully. All human ships. Execute demonstration plan. Across council space, human forces began moving. Not attacking, but showing their strength. Above the Vrax homeworld, a dozen human ships appeared in perfect formation, their quantum fold engines making them seem to teleport. Above Kelthani colonies, human stealth ships decloaked, proving they had been there all along. Watching. Waiting. At Dorvian military bases, human drones delivered packages containing detailed maps of the base's defenses, showing how vulnerable they were. The message was clear. Humanity could strike anywhere, anytime. But they chose not to. Inside the council chamber, voices grew quieter. The younger species, ones who had always been junior members like humanity, began speaking up. "We support the human proposal," a delegate from the Rintar species said. "We too have been held back by the elder species. We too have suffered from their arrogance. It is time for change." More species joined the call. The council was splitting between those who wanted to maintain the old order and those who saw humanity's point. The division was not along species lines. Some Vraks supported reform. Some humans' former enemies saw the justice in the proposal. Jake Morrison knew this was the critical moment. "To the species who conspired against us, we offer this. Accept the new order. Face trial for your crimes. Make restitution. And we will work together to build something better. Reject this, and we will still build something better, just without you. Your choice." The Tarkin and Morphex leaders refused. They ordered their ships to attack the human fleet. It was a desperate, foolish decision. Jake had been waiting for this. The Battle of the Council Ring began. Tarkin and Morphex ships, about 60 in total, charged the human formation. Jake's fleet did not run. They had proven they could fight. Now they would prove they could win decisively. Human ships moved with precision that Council forces could not match. AI-assisted targeting meant every shot counted. Quantum fold engines meant human ships appeared behind enemy formations, flanked them, confused them. Kinetic weapons bypassed their shields. And most importantly, human commanders fought with creativity that Council war computers could not predict. Jake Morrison had spent 15 years learning how Council species fought. He knew the Tarkin favored direct assaults. He knew the Morphex tried to use superior numbers. He used that knowledge against them. Human ships baited the Tarkin into traps. They isolated Morphex squadrons and destroyed them one by one. The battle lasted 4 hours. Not a single human ship was destroyed. 40 enemy vessels were disabled or destroyed. 20 more surrendered. The remainder fled. And through it all, Jake's forces had been careful. When enemy ships' life support failed, human rescue teams saved the crews. When escape pods launched, human ships recovered them. There were Tarkin and Morphex casualties, but far fewer than there should have been. Humanity fought to win, but also to preserve life. When the shooting stopped, Jake broadcast one final message. "This is what the new order looks like. We fight when we must. We win when we fight. But we do not seek unnecessary death. We are not conquerors. We are not slavers. We are humans, and we believe in something better." Dr. Amy Collins entered the council chamber. The leaders looked at her with mixed expressions: fear, anger, respect, shame. "The vote is now," she said simply. "Accept the Galactic Constitution or reject it. But know this: if you reject it, humanity will still implement it. We will form a new coalition with species who believe in equality." The chamber fell silent. One by one, species began to vote. The Rintar voted yes. The Morphex, their fleet destroyed, voted yes. The Quillians voted yes. The Dorvians, after long debate, voted yes. The Zenthari voted yes. The Kelthani voted yes. Only the Vraks and Tarkin voted no. But it did not matter. A majority had spoken. "Then it is done," Amy said. "The council is dissolved. The Galactic Constitution takes effect immediately. War crime tribunals will begin in 30 days. All species have equal representation. The age of elder species controlling younger species is over." Jake Morrison allowed himself a small smile. They had done it. Humanity had been betrayed, had been attacked, had been marked for enslavement. And humanity had responded not with genocide or conquest, but with justice. "All ships, stand down to peacetime alert," Jake ordered. "The war is over. Now comes the hard part: building peace." On Earth, people celebrated in the streets. On human colonies, families wept with relief. The crisis had passed. Humanity had survived. But more than survived. They had changed the galaxy. The first war crimes trial began 30 days after the Council's dissolution. Dr. Amy Collins stood in the new Galactic Justice Commission chambers, watching as former council leaders were brought in. The Vrax speaker, who had authorized the preservation protocol. The Kelthani admiral who ordered attacks on human civilians. The Tarkin ambassador, who had spread lies about humanity across the galaxy. These proceedings are open to all species, Amy announced. Every session will be broadcast. Every piece of evidence will be public. Justice must not only be done, but must be seen to be done. The trials lasted for months. Some defendants showed remorse. The Morphex leader who had supported the protocol stood before the court and openly wept. "We were afraid," he said. "Humanity grew so fast, achieved so much. We thought you would become like us, using your power to dominate others. We did not realize that you had learned different lessons from your history." Others showed no remorse. The Tarkin ambassador remained defiant. "We did what was necessary to preserve order. Humanity was a threat. A threat to your power, perhaps," Amy replied. "But not to peace. The court will decide your fate." Sentences were measured and fair. Some leaders received prison terms. Others faced fines and loss of political rights. A few, whose crimes were less severe, received community service sentences, working to rebuild what the war had damaged. But no one was executed. Humanity had insisted on that. Death penalties belonged to the old order. Commander Jake Morrison found himself in an unexpected role. Admiral Frank Chen appointed him as the first human instructor at the new Galactic Naval Academy. The academy brought together cadets from 30 different species, teaching them to serve together in the reformed Defense Force. "Today we learn about the Battle of Mars," Jake told his mixed species class. Captain Ben Harris held off a force 3 times larger than his own, not because he had better weapons, but because he understood something important. He knew why he was fighting. He was buying time for civilians to escape. Purpose gives you strength. Takes everyone. Also, a young Vrax cadet raised a crystalline hand. "Commander Morrison, do you hate us for what our leaders did?" Jake considered the question carefully. "I hate what was done to my people. I hate the betrayal and the lies. But you are not your leaders. You are here, learning to be better. That is what matters. The question is not about the past. It is about what we build together in the future." Captain Ben Harris received command of the new flagship of the reformed Galactic Defense Force. The ship was built using both human and alien technology. A symbol of cooperation. It was called the Unity, and its crew came from 12 different species. "Some of you fought against each other weeks ago," Ben told his crew at their first assembly. "Some of you lost friends in the war. That pain is real. But we have a choice. We can let that pain divide us forever, or we can use it to build something better. I choose to build." 2. The crew was uncertain at first. Trust did not come easily after betrayal, but slowly, they learned to work together. Human engineers taught alien counterparts about kinetic weapons. Alien navigators showed humans how to optimize quantum fold calculations. Morphex medical officers worked alongside human doctors. Each day brought small victories of cooperation. Engineer Lisa Martinez led the new technology sharing initiative. Her job was to break down the barriers that had kept species isolated. The Council had controlled technology, doling it out to maintain power. Now everything would be shared. "The quantum fold engine will be available to all species within 6 months," Lisa announced at a press conference. "We are also releasing human AI technology, advanced materials science, and medical innovations. In return, our alien partners are sharing their knowledge. Together, we will advance faster than any of us could, alone." Not everyone was happy with the changes. On the Vrax homeworld, protests erupted. Some citizens felt humiliated by their species' defeat and the trials of their leaders. "We ruled the galaxy for 2,000 years," angry Vrax shouted in the streets. "Now we take orders from humans who have been in space for barely a century." But other voices spoke up too. Younger Vrax who had seen the evidence of their leaders' crimes. "We ruled through deception and control," a Vrax student leader said at a rally. "Is that something to be proud of?" "The humans offered us partnership. Real partnership. Not the fake kind we had before. Maybe it is time we earned respect instead of demanding it." Similar debates happened on every former council world. Change was hard. Giving up power was harder. But slowly, grudgingly, the old guard began to accept the new reality. Admiral Frank Chen retired from military service 2 years after the war ended. He had accomplished what he set out to do. Humanity was safe, the galaxy was at peace, and justice had been served. At his retirement ceremony, representatives from 20 species came to honor him. "You saved more than humanity," a Dorvian delegate said. "You saved all of us from becoming what we feared most. You showed us that strength without honor is worthless. That power without principle leads only to ruin. Thank you." Chen smiled. "I did not do this alone. Every human who served, every alien who stood up for what was right, every person who chose justice over revenge, they are the real heroes." Dr. Amy Collins became the first chief ambassador of the reformed Galactic Council. Her job was to ensure the new system worked, that the Galactic Constitution was followed, that no species tried to return to the old ways. "We will have disagreements," Amy told the new council during its first full session. 30 species with different cultures, different needs, different views. That is normal. But we have rules now. We have transparency. We have equality. When we disagree, we debate. We vote. We compromise. We do not conspire and betray. The first major test came when the Tarkin demanded readmission to the Council. They had been suspended after their leaders' refusal to accept the Constitution. Now, with new leadership, they wanted back in. "Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching." End quote. End quote. "You attacked us even after we offered peace," Jake Morrison testified at the hearing. "You chose violence over dialogue. Why should we trust you now?" The new Tarkin representative, a young diplomat named Sekthar, stood before the council. "Because we learned. We learned that the old ways led to destruction. We learned that our pride nearly destroyed us. We learned that humans, who we called primitive, were more civilized than we were. Give us a chance to prove we have changed." The vote was close, but the Tarkin were readmitted with conditions. They would have full membership, but their military would be limited for 5 years. They would pay reparations to human colonies they had attacked. They would send students to learn at human universities. Small steps toward redemption. 10 years after the war, the galaxy looked very different. Trade between species had tripled. Mixed species colonies existed on a dozen worlds. Children of different alien races played together in schools. Scientists from multiple species worked on projects that would have been impossible before. Jake Morrison, now retired from teaching, visited a memorial on Mars. The memorial honored all who died in the war, human and alien alike. Names were carved into black stone. Thousands of them. Jake found the names of crew members he had lost, friends who had given their lives. "Was it worth it?" a voice asked behind him. Jake turned to see Agent Nick Porter, the man who had stayed behind on the council homeworld to buy time for Amy Collins. Nick had survived, and now worked in the diplomatic corps. "The cost was high," Jake said quietly. "Too many good people died. But look at what we built. Look at what we prevented. The council would have enslaved us. Billions of humans would have lived and died under alien control. Instead, we are free. More than free. We are partners in something bigger than ourselves." Do you think it will last? Nick asked. If we work at it. If we remember what we fought for. If we teach the next generation why equality matters. Jake touched one of the names on the memorial. These people did not die for revenge or conquest. They died so that everyone, human and alien, could have a better future. We owe them that. At the new Galactic Naval Academy, young cadets studied the war. They learned about the Preservation Protocol and the betrayal. They learned about the Battle of Mars and the Battle of the Council Ring. But mostly, they learned about what came after. The war lasted 4 months. An instructor told his class, "The peace has lasted 10 years so far. Which is more important? Fighting is sometimes necessary, but building peace is always harder and always more valuable." A human cadet raised her hand. "Sir, my grandmother served with Commander Morrison. She said the hardest part was not firing when you wanted to, showing restraint when you had power." "Sir, 224-1. Your grandmother was wise," the instructor replied. "That is the lesson of the war. You could have enslaved species in return for what they tried to do to you." Dr. Amy Collins attended the anniversary memorial service with Captain Ben Harris. They were both older now, grayer, but still active in galactic affairs. "Do you regret anything?" Ben asked her. "I regret that it happened at all," Amy said. "I regret trusting too easily at first. I regret every life lost. But I do not regret how we responded. We could have become monsters. We could have proven the Council's fears were justified. Instead, we proved that humanity values justice over revenge. That matters. It matters," Ben agreed. "But we have to keep proving it." The memorial service brought thousands of people together. Humans and Vrax standing side by side. Morphex and Kelthani sharing stories of those they had lost. Former enemies becoming friends, united by shared grief and shared hope. Jake Morrison gave the final speech. He was an old man now. His hair white. His face lined with years. But his voice was still strong. 10 years ago, the Galactic Council betrayed humanity. They tried to enslave us. They tried to destroy our future. We responded with force, yes, but also with principle. We delivered an order, not an order for revenge, but an order for justice. Not an order for domination, but an order for equality. We proved that being strong does not mean being cruel. That winning does not require becoming what you hate. Jake paused, looking out at the crowd. The old council ruled through fear and control. The new council governs through cooperation and respect. That is the difference between tyranny and civilization. That is what these people died for. He gestured to the memorial behind him. Let us honor them by continuing to build the galaxy they fought to create. A galaxy where all species are truly equal, where justice is not just a word, but a reality, where young people of all races can grow up in peace. As the sun set on Mars, casting red light across the memorial, people began to leave. But they left together, humans and aliens, former enemies, now friends, talking about the future instead of the past. The Galactic Council had betrayed humanity, and humanity had delivered an order that changed the galaxy forever. Not through conquest, but through principle. Not through fear, but through justice. The old order was dead. The new order was still being built, one day at a time, by people who chose to be better. And that was how humanity truly won.